What's going on, guys? My name's Skirpd, and I just want to start off by saying I like solo leveling. I think it's a great manhwa, and it's gonna be a really great anime. I mean, I even had a phase where I was Sungjin's Blue Glazer profile picture and everything. But in terms of manhwa, Overgeared actually blows solo leveling out of the water, and it's not even close. Overgeared starts from the point of view of our main protagonist, Young Shun Woo, but his gamer name is Grid. That's right, baby. We have a gamer protagonist. Woohoo! The game he plays is called Satisfied, and it's honestly just a wet dream for anybody who wants to play a fantasy game or watch SAO. You all wanted to be in the game. But Grid is one of billions of players playing this game. However, there is something that makes him stand out among all the rest. He absolutely sucks at the game. And the only thing he has going for him is that he is willing to do the grindy and tedious quests that nobody else wants to do. And there's going to be a couple spoilers ahead for the first couple chapters and just a couple things here and there. I'm not going to try to spoil the whole thing because I want you to read it. This leads him to the start of the story where he had finally received an S-graded quest that he broke his hump for months and months to get all the way to where he is now. Now being chased by the quest giver because he got a legendary item as part of the quest. It was a fetch quest. And he decided, I'm going to log out and just take the item. Like, why wouldn't I do that? The item being a legendary class change item that he appraised and saw that it was a legendary blacksmith class. Long story short, he's about to get clapped because the quest giver is a level 300 mage who has level 200 assassins with him, and Grid is level 70. So, do the math. Instead of losing the item, he just uses it right then and there because it's a legendary class. It might give him OP abilities that'll one-hit these guys, right? He opens up the book, gets the class, all the skills are created, and he's also brought down to level 1. And then immediately cut in half. And this is where the story really starts. Where Overgeared really shines is with all of its build-up and foreshadowing for the super cool moments later in the story. There's seeds that they plant in the first 15 chapters that have stuff pop up about them 200 chapters later. It's lovely because everything feels so cohesive and not just thrown together because of all the foreshadowing and callbacks to things he did. And I love it. I love it so much. And on top of the build-up, the art is just so good. It's the same studio that did Solo Leveling Manhua, so it's just top tier. And so are the fight scenes. Every hit feels like it was thrown with the force of a fucking truck. I mean, people are just getting decked left and right. And there's a point where he's fighting a super high-level NPC, and it's just an absolute slugfest. Grid's throwing, boom! The NPC's just throwing laser beam, punch, and they're just trading blows and just great nuts the bus action. And it's just so satisfying. But if action isn't your jam, why are you watching Solo Leveling? But the blacksmithing system itself is really good. Grid is the legendary class, Pagma's descendant, so he is a legendary blacksmith, so you know he's going to be crafting these good items, right? Kind of. It's so funny to watch him craft because he actually got so unlucky in the beginning of the story and he barely crafted anything good for the first while. But the blacksmithing really does captivate you just as much as the fight scenes and everything because Grid crafts the way that every single person would. As the legendary class, you get a blueprint screen where you can create your own items. So what's the first thing he does? I'm going to make the most overpowered sword ever. I'm going to give it the best stats in the world. And I'm going to put the best options on it. Like, meteors rain down whenever I swing. And then he puts it in, and the game balances his weapon. Because he didn't even think about what materials to use. So they just shoved in some of the rarest materials ever. And they balance the weapon so the stats suck on it. You need to be super high level to use it. He's level 1, by the way. And you have to have, like, level 300 sword mastery. Like, you're not going to be able to use this sword ever. Other than that, I don't feel like fighting all the mobs in one area. I'm just going to make an invisibility cloak. I don't feel like finding keys to chests or only being able to pick one chest. I'm going to make a lockpick that can lockpick anything and doesn't break. The coolest part is, whenever he does craft a super rare item or a legendary, it just feels so deserved because it doesn't happen all the time and it's a rare event, and when it is made, there's usually always a reason for it. Like, I remember one of the coolest ones was he got a commission to craft a horny sword. Oh shit, I meant like a thorny sword, right? And he was in the middle of crafting it. I think he made a rare beforehand and he was just making this one too. Some people roll up on him and they just smash his sword right in front of him. At this point, he's pretty well leveled up, and he just claps these motherfuckers right in the blacksmith shop. And he goes back and he's like, fuck, what do I do? The sword that I was gonna make this guy's broken now. I have materials for everything else. It's just I don't have enough for a hilt. I guess I'll just use this bloody hilt that I killed people on for it. Well, no, oh, I'm sorry. The blood is actually from himself because he got hit into it. So he's like, I'll just craft with this, and it becomes one of his first legendary items, and it's the first item he crafted with a personality. The personality being hating its creator because his creator basically threw him away and didn't even want to make him as a sword, but just ended up happening. You'll also be happy to know that my boy gets that VR pootang. Yeah, there are a myriad of girls that are in the show. I mean, there's a type for everybody. You want the dommy mommy who's gonna step on you and call you names? You got Yura. You want a Brazilian tsundere who is not so secretive with who she likes? You got Jishka. And if you love the smug energy that Nagatoro threw out, you got Euphemia, who's just a scammer who steals other people's skills. However, the best waifu on the list, and the person who confessed their love to Grid before anybody else, is my beautiful Mongolian boy, Heroi. My man would die for Grid. He pledged his life for Grid. Grid is his only thing ever. Oh, and there's the VR woman herself, Irene. So in case you guys were wondering, Grid is a Sigma Omega Alpha male. He's got the energy. Down lock. Out of all these real life girls, he picks Irene, who he can canonically only sleep with once a month and only in the game. And he still chooses her. I don't know. There is one character that doesn't fit into this category, but is one of the just absolute best characters ever. The character I'm talking about is the character who's just the best in general. He's just the coolest guy ever, and I love him. Old Man Khan. When we first meet Khan, he's just a belligerent drunk who is on the verge of losing everything. His smithy's about to get taken over by a corporation, and he's got like almost no money left to his name. However, our level 3 legendary class Grid rolls up and says, I'll help you out, Khan. And Khan says, all right, cool. I don't know how we're going to beat this corporation. But the corporation goes, we'll do a blacksmithing contest to make it fair. Khan goes, all right, I'll mentor you just so we can, win this contest. While he's teaching Grid and everything, they get a pretty good bond. And then Grid saves his smithy, and they start working together. So they're just really close. And there's this really cool scene where Khan brings Grid to his ancestor's gravesite, which Khan's son is there also. And Grid sends off his ghost and says he'll take care of Khan. It's a really nice scene. It really just makes you feel happy that Khan got his stuff back together. The scene that stuck out to me the absolute most, though, is a scene where Grid had finally become a pretty high-ranking individual in his kingdom, and he's having a whole ceremony for it. And it cuts to Khan, and he's having this inner monologue where he's like, I'm so glad this person who I consider like a second son to me is moving up in the world, and he's gonna be something. It's great. It's going to be really quiet at the smithy, though, because he's not going to be able to show up anymore, but I'm glad for him. And man, if I didn't tell you that hit me in the heartstrings, like, whoo, it was raining in my room. That's all I'll say. It was raining in my room, man. But then Grid comes up and completely wipes that notion away and goes, Old Man Khan, I think we're going to need more coal for the forge. Just showing that, he was never intending to leave Khan in the dust, which... Oh man, I love their dynamics so much. It's just the perfect father-son thing. It's so wholesome and heartwarming to watch every time they interact with each other. It's great. But this manhwa is about Grid, and I think it's time I started gushing about him. Grid is a character who stands out a lot compared to other overpowered MCs and from manhwas and even just Sung Jin Woo, where he's flawed. He's too greedy for his own good. He's not really amazing at the game, and he's not good at cheesing systems or, reading people. But that's the thing that I love about him, is that even though he's not the best in the world, it doesn't mean he's gonna give up and just sit still and throw in the towel just because it's hard. He's the epitome of tenacity, and he's just constantly striving to be better every step of the way, and it's just really cool to see that somebody just come up from nothing, basically. And he doesn't come out of his fights completely unscathed or reading every one of his opponent's moves and dodging out of the way, or by just pulling a lucky thing out of his bag of tricks. He usually comes out beaten, bruised, and the only reason he comes out on top is that he has the ability to ask for help when he needs it. And he knows that it's not shameful. It doesn't mean he's weak just because he can't do everything by himself. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh wow, this MC sucks. He can't handle things by himself and he always has to ask for help. I would say that that's a great quality. I resonate a lot with Grid. When he started his journey, he didn't have a future at all. He was just working a manual labor job that he hated, and the only reason he was doing it is because you have to work. And the only thing he found refuge in was this game that he didn't see a future in, but it was just an escape from reality for him. And I've been in that situation myself. I mean, you just kind of go through the motions without really doing anything fulfilling with yourself, and it sucks. But do you want to know what happened when an opportunity presented itself to him? He grabbed it by the reins and never let go. And that's something I think that everybody can learn from. I mean, it's the fact that you don't have to be a genius or innately talented in a field. You just have to have effort and a spirit that won't fail after your motivation gives away. Because I know that all too well. I wanted to be a voice actor at one point, and I didn't get a call back immediately, so I gave up that hobby. I wanted to do art, but then I just stopped after I was like, oh, I don't want to keep drawing. But now with YouTube, this is something that I feel like it's something that I love doing, and I have this passion for it and drive to even past when I don't want to record a video or edit something. I do it anyway because I know it's fulfilling to me and it's something I love. And Grid does the same thing. He loves satisfying. He can now make a living from it, from being a legendary class and making stuff and being a goat. He becomes a goat at the end of this. At the end, well, what I'm caught up with right now, he's just as powerful as some of the strongest people in the game. And it's just amazing, man. I mean, I love a character who struggles, who doesn't get everything handed to him, and it doesn't come easy. Because that's not how life is. You have to fight for everything, and it's something that I love to watch. I love to watch the underdog come up. And this job is great. I mean, I always sat down and wanted to watch one of my favorite creators, and I get to be that for some people, and I couldn't be happier. Plus, I get to gush about some of my favorite manhwa ever, or really whatever I want, and people will listen to me. And that's a perk in itself, because who wants to hear somebody yap for 12 minutes? You, apparently. And I thank you for that. Grid really inspires, at least he inspires me to keep pushing forward in my own life, and even through times where I don't want to keep going, just push myself. And I think it's great, and I think everybody can learn from that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I actually do have a testimonial from one of our first member right here, where he absolutely loves the membership program.
I just fucking subscribed. I'm a Skirpd supporter. Where's my perks? I don't see shit. It's the worst $5 I ever spent in my goddamn life. I got a plan, Arthur, and I'm just giving you that. Cause my $5 don't get me shit. Unacceptable.
This is before he actually looked at it, and he just and this is after he found out what it actually did.
Never mind, that's pog. I take it back. Best $5 I ever spent.
But seriously, guys, if you could become a member, it'd be amazing. But even if you don't, thank you for watching the video and hopefully subscribing, because 99.9% of you guys aren't subscribed, which is crazy because, like, I don't know, I think I'm doing pretty good. But seriously, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Skirpd, and you've been great.